name is Diana. I'm a producer, director, owner of a production company and agency, and social media manager. I don't think anyone actually chooses to be a producer. I think that kind of it is a sort of a job that kind of just finds you. You either have it or don't. There's no clear definition as to what it is to be a producer, because you're basically a person that's kind of like manages and fills the gaps and has its hand on the pulse of the whole production. You have an overall outlook of where the project is actually heading. When it comes to me, I've been a documentary producer for most of my life, and a documentary producer has a slightly different role if being compared to a film or commercial environment.
Just don't drive us off the fucking mountain.
I'm gonna drive us off the mountain! Oh, what a beautiful kangaroo!
There's a big eye.
Yeah.
You have the big eyes as well. Oh. Now we're coming back from cutting the poppy field. A documentary producer is very, very hands-on. So basically, when I'm working on documentary projects, I pitch, I produce, I negotiate the access, I sometimes film, I direct, I operate the drone. I do it all, basically. A documentary producer is someone who's always ready to fulfill a role or perform a task in order to make sure that everything goes smoothly and moves in the right direction. So normally I'm on the projects from the very early initiation and start until the very last bit of post-production and release. Producing is not a role that you normally obtain in the university. I picked up that profession by being involved in it, and I've been drawn into producing from a really young age. My name is Diana, and I'm a producer on the BBC documentary that we're going to make in Vulcania in the next few weeks. So don't be afraid to say hi if you see me on the street. I think I stand out, yeah?
Yeah.
I look Russian and furry. It all started for me when I moved to London. I moved to London to complete my MA in scriptwriting. Then I found my first job as a film and documentary editor, and I was assisting in the edit for a whole year. But after being stuck in a basement, just pretty much editing away, my bosses in the production company that I was working at that moment, they realized that I have far too many talents as a producer. I was really very outgoing and direct, and they were using my languages and my skill of persuasion in order to set up shoots and liaise and negotiate with people. So my path is very unique. I didn't really have the same kind of the normal timeline as everyone goes through. I've never been a runner, I've never been a production assistant. I kind of quickly switched from being an editor to being an assistant producer, and then a producer, and then a field producer. Basically how it works in my job. I never normally deal with money that much. I deal with the story, access, editorial, and the ability to drive the projects from the beginning to the end. I'll give you an example of how my career started and how tough it is to be a producer. The reality is that most of the times I'm the only woman on set.
You lost that love and feeling. Oh, that love and feeling. I can use it.
You got shit on your hands.
In the documentary world, there's no women involved, especially when it comes to location. So when I travel to Australia, to Alaska, to Siberia, to Africa, or wherever I'm traveling, I'm normally the only woman in the team. Because being a woman, you still need to kind of adapt to the kind of all-male environment. And it's an ongoing conversation in a lot of industries like that. There's definitely a male bravado, and all of a sudden you're there and you're a young girl and you're in charge of mammoths of the industry that's been there, for the 30 odd years, and you're quickly getting shut down. So you definitely need to, grow some balls. Yeah, you have to. Being a documentary producer, I had a pretty crazy life, so far. You would be seeing me hanging outside of helicopters, getting in conflict zones. I once was stationed in Siberian frozen forest for 3 months, and my public transportation was snowmobile. I quickly realized in that job, working on that huge discovery project, when there was 40 people on set, that Producer is a fast changing role. I was literally filling all the different gaps. In the morning, I had to find some stories to cover because it was like a reality TV based show. So you pretty much shoot whatever is available, but you still kind of feed into the story. So you have to be prepared. If something doesn't work out, you're kind of, okay, let's go in the village and shoot with the locals. Okay, let's go there and cover that story. So you have to be really kind of on point. You know, you have to have plan B, plan C, plan D, A, E, F. You know, basically, you need to have a solution to every situation. With the development of Instagram, my job as a casting producer kind of started revolving around Instagram a lot, because most of the people that I found and I casted for my documentaries, especially if they were coming from some kind of niche subcultures, I found them on Instagram. And the funniest thing is that some of them became really famous and big on Instagram and turned into influencers, and that's how I started working with them, securing commercial work for them. And that led me to branded content. The funniest thing is that a lot of people switch from advertising to documentary because they think that the advertising world is very soulless, and they just think like, you know, documentary is so much more pure and fascinating and a bit like kind of like, you know, intellectual in a sense. But I found that, you know, advertising and branding content gave me a lot of creativity and freedom, because documentary content these days is very politicized. The reality is that you're never fully free to express yourself the way you want to. I feel that LA is a really unique location and enables people with being who they are. You know, it's one of these places where you just can't help but feel creative and feel like, you know, you have to express yourself better and become the best version of yourself. So I think LA is a really special place, and also the sun and the climate and this beautiful golden hour, it all complements to this kind of like cinema-esque kind of lifestyle. And I love that. But I felt like, you know, I was really disconnected from my peers. A week ago, I met Sophia from Bifro, and I was like, such a good idea. They're currently launching an online platform which will be able to bring the best creatives in LA together. It would be a great place for me to find individuals to collaborate with, find work as a freelance producer, and even get some educational content and be a part of a big group, like a family, you know. Once I heard about it, I was like, why nobody thought about this before? So a year ago, I made the move from London to LA. And the reason behind it was that I pretty much felt like I reached the ceiling in my role in London, because at 28 I was already a senior producer at numerous projects. You know, I got my awards. I've pretty much produced for every single big channel. I felt like I've done it all. I wanted to branch out and see what else is for me, you know, because I always felt like I love documentary, don't get me wrong, that's where my heart is. But I'm also really interested in social media, in creative works, in commercial and branding content. So I felt like I want to set up a production company, and it's just all kind of magically happened in LA for me, you know. So this year was really big and very important because it made me realize that the next step in development for you as an individual and as a professional is to set up your own thing, you know, start up your own business. But you're only able to do that when you gain that experience and you have that weight in the industry. So I felt like it was my time, for sure. Everybody was cool for Friday. You're that kind of person that's always on a call. sorry, I have to take it. What's up, guys? My name is Diana, and I'm a producer. Already feel like you're in the front row. You know what I mean? In the front row of your life, of your business, of your partnership.